All right, y'all. What is going on? It is another Hot Fire Monday special. Yay! Another Monday. I ain't got no haircut. I'm so sick of this. I'm actually getting a haircut tomorrow because I'm actually going out of town this weekend. I go out of town Thursday and then I come back to Houston on Sunday. But what was I about to say? I'm about to say something important. But I come back on Sunday and then so the reason I'm coming back on Sunday is because it's obviously Memorial Day weekend, but one of my friends, they're like having like an event, and like one of them, my homeboy's mom is having an event, and I just feel like I'm pretty much off the club scene these days, and it's like ain't nothing better than like a good gathering at somebody's house, and so that's kind of what I'm looking forward to doing. That's why I'm leaving where I'm going a little early, so I can come back for that. Have a great guest today, and we got lots we're going to talk about. And this person is a great podcaster himself. He didn't have some great interviews, and um, we've been following each other, reposting each other's stuff for a very long time. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we're going to get everything started. All right, my boy, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, man? I'm happy to be here. My name is Jeremy Robinson. I am the host and creator of the It Factor podcast. And like I said, man, good to be here, man. We've been following each other for a while and just support each other. And I'm proud of your show, as I know you are of mine. So thank you, man.
Yes, thank you, thank you. I mean, it's not too many shows of substance that are really around. I'm never gonna knock the shade room style shows, but I mean it's good to just have people that actually have substance because it's just so much. It's easy to do that kind of stuff, and
Right.
not saying as far as creative wise, because I know some gossipy podcasts and things that are some of the most creative works I've ever seen. But I'm saying as far as ensuring each week has legit, some substance and doing that, not just going off of everything clickbaity, just for views and likes. Someone could challenge, well, that's what we're doing today. Not really, because of the way the segments are set up. So not really, but you could say that, but
Mm-hmm.
not really.
Gotcha.
Okay, so before we get into that, I want to first start off by saying last week's episode, which was filmed probably 2 months ago, for the podcast. This was episode six, and this featured Brady McLean, who was the owner of Go Fast, and I always say it wrong. It's Go Fast, Don't Die. I think that's what it is. And we had a great conversation. Talked a lot about calling and purpose, and the purpose of the episode was to just showcase to my target audience, like there's a community for literally everything. Now that's a good side and a bad side, but it's a community for literally everything you're looking for. And so I said, and you shouldn't feel left out in anywhere in this at this point in the world, because they have a community for that. So I think you got a chance to check it out. Anything about that episode that stood out to you, what you liked, what you challenged, anything like that?
My biggest thing that I like that he said and that y'all spoke on was from the snippet, man. That basically, when you're going after things, I think that a lot of people think that, oh, it's going to work or this supposed to work for me. And to be very honest, sometimes stuff is not for you,
Yeah.
And I think it takes a little age and wisdom to know what's for you and what's not for you. And you'll find out. What I'm finding out is something that comes to you naturally. Those are usually the things that are for you. So I thank y'all for that, man.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. I agree. I feel like a lot of times people will be like, and so many people are quick to give up. And if nothing else, they see with my podcast that we getting the numbers on YouTube finally. Because that's the money I really want. That YouTube money. Like everything else, is like and even with me and my strategy, like I said, everyone's strategy is different, and I'm not gonna knock anybody's strategy because I don't know what God told you to do. I just know with me, I have the most go on YouTube, so I try to put the most energy into YouTube. And like Instagram and TikTok, it's like I drop clips because I have to, but it's like I'm not as clicky with them as I am with YouTube, making sure like every day YouTube we post at this time. So I think that's the thing. And even I heard some people saying like, oh, I'm good at this, but that's gonna take 5 to 10 years, and I'm already this age, it's too late. And I'm like, it's not
Yes,
though. And
man,
it's
you better do it. You still gonna turn that age.
yeah.
You're still gonna do these things, and I get that a lot with podcasts. Like, how did you get so on the podcast? I'm like, I interview people on a weekly basis, or I do these so many times that when those people do come, I'm prepared. I already have done it. It took time to do it, but outside, I didn't give up on it. I didn't
Yeah.
just, oh, it didn't happen. Oh, I got to stop, And I think you really have to find what you like to do, man. And I feel
And
like we live in a world where people don't know what they like or what they want to do.
unfortunately, like I said this, I think it was last week, and I don't remember when it was. I know I said it recently on a recording. I was just saying, like, our parents, they lacked innovation by the thousands. They didn't have the innovative bone in their body. So a lot of times our parents will lead us to and tell us things we should do. They were able to recognize, if it was my parents, they were able to recognize the skill set, just how it was going to be used is much different than they would have thought. You know what I mean? So they saw the skills. They saw this. Oh, you can do this. You should do that. And it's like, that was, it's so much more deeper than that. And also, people don't do what they love. They do what they think will make a lot of money and will happen quick. And it's like, even with my ghostwriting service that I've been doing since 2017, but put an actual name and a logo and the actual package together in early last year, actually. So it has a name, and also throwing it out to people. I have a tutoring service specifically geared towards high schoolers, 9th through 12th grade. Can be virtual. I live in Houston, but it can be virtual. Actually, would prefer it to be virtual, but if you're in Houston and you would like in person, we can have that set up. And geared towards turning the page on illiteracy, the literacy liftoff. We know that we are in a literacy crisis. I have an English degree. I have been an English teacher. I was in education all them years, reading and writing the comprehension. So along with tutoring, double that. And so, yeah. So if you know any high schoolers, anybody struggling, anybody need to catch up, anything like that, we can definitely have some packages going as far as prices. And email me at theprodigyperspective@gmail.com or hit me up on Instagram if you find me on there. Okay, so today we are talking about quite a few things. I didn't want to be too clickbaity with a lot of the topics, but one of them we're gonna have to speak on just because we just got to. But the first thing we're actually gonna speak on, which probably nobody expected. So if anybody was able to see Sinbad, comedian Sinbad, he had a stroke and he recently spoke about his stroke. And it was his first time, I believe, on stage in a while, like a very long time. So we're gonna watch a clip, and then we're gonna give our take on that. We're gonna do the rundown with the segments. So let me go ahead and open this up, and let's get it going.
Kevin Hart, Lou Nell, Tiffany Haddish, and Dave Chappelle during a brunch held during the festivities. If you remember, Sinbad would suffer a life-altering stroke back in 2020, which affected the left side of his body. He currently has been on a journey to recovery ever since. As a part of the event, the network hosted a show in his honor called Netflix's A Joke Presents Sinbad Tribute Show. The event was hosted by Dougie Fresh, as the show would benefit the Sinbad Special Needs Trust. In addition to comedians D.L. Hughley, Byron Allen, Mark Curry, and Deion Cole, who took the stage that night, Sinbad will return to the stage for the very first time and perform a few minutes of stand-up comedy for the audience in attendance, discussing what he's been up to ever since his life-changing incident, and wouldn't hold back his appreciation for his wife, who has been by his side the entire time.
My beautiful brother right here, Sinbad, the one, the only, the best. Such a blessing. I'm gonna tell you something, it is a miracle. For me to come out tonight, even people walk with that staff, I feel good that I can do that because the left side of my body was affected, my left hand, my left leg, just quit. Be careful what you talk about. Remember I did my joke about having a stroke? You gotta be careful what you talk about because you bring it to fruition. Thank God I did have the woman I talked about, the strong woman who loved me. Come tell you something about stroke. This is your marriage vows, better or worse, in good health, bad health, rich or poor. This is where you find out what kind of person you got that loves you. Because I know some of the dumb stuff I did during my marriage. I know some days when I'm in this wheelchair, top of the steps. I know you have been thinking, I know what you did. Let's take a ride. Depending on the woman for my total survival, and thank God for it. So I want to say thank you here publicly.
Sinbad's performance comes.
All right, so let's get into the first segment along with that, which is, what does this have to do with mental health? So first and foremost, he had a stroke and he's still in good spirits. That's the beauty of being a funny person. because you're going to make a joke out of anything, even a catastrophe. And for him to give a stand up, and that's what I love about comedy, because you can tell the truth in a playful way, and people don't realize, you know, you tell the truth. Because they laughed when he made the comment, and we'll get that in a minute. But they laughed when he made the comment about you got to watch what you say. But mentally, this happened years ago, and you know it's now 2024, and he's on the road to recovery. But I'm sure anybody that had a stroke or anybody that had just any life altering incident, they probably were down and out. And because he is funny, I'm sure he tried to like make jokes about it to kind of like laugh his way through the pain. So, can you tell about a time you might have went through a life altering event, and you kind of like, and how did you go about coping with it? That's the word. That's what I'm looking for.
I think that I would take the situation of losing my mom, man, back in 2022, weeks after getting married and a couple days before my birthday, bro.
Oh wow.
The biggest thing was I went to HBCU, went to Clark Atlanta University. So homecoming, all these things fall on my birthday in October. So once that happened, man, you go through a whole roller coaster of emotion because that's your parent. And I grew up in a single parent home, so it was just a lot, you know, and just had got on a high of my life, and that's a low. So I think that the biggest thing was a lot of people outside my wife. Thank God for my wife, you know, for being there for me. But like friends and things don't know what to always say or do things. And the biggest thing they were trying to figure out, like, how the hell is he okay? Like, how is he like, laughing? And I think that I'm just like you said, like Sinbad said, I'm an openly funny person, bro. Like I think that it helps me get through the pain of different things that's happening. But I think that the biggest thing was I reflected, man. And you can't prepare yourself for any catastrophe in your life. But the biggest thing is you kind of know when to say, you know what, I'm going to approach this in a different way. And mentally, I took myself to a place of, yes, I knew my mom was gone, but I can't just stop living or stop, you know, trying to be positive as she would want me to have been. So the biggest thing I knew I learned from that time was the people that were around me really showed a lot of love. And at the time I was angry at certain things that happened. Like, you know, my wife threw me a party, man. I was mad. I was like, I don't want to be around all these people, stuff like that. And I think the biggest thing was I didn't even know what she was doing. I thank her for that. Definitely thank her for that.
Definitely. And the thing is, unfortunately, in those situations, you don't know what to do when those kind of things happen. You know, it's like him having a stroke, you losing a parent. It's like it's like you don't know what to do. It's like it's just kind of like you just kind of got to deal with it and just go through it from there, you know. And for the beautiful part about all of this is everything you can recover from. How it does, it's, you know, it just depends. But the main thing is having a good mindset, I guess, moving forward.
Right.
And trying to do that, because that's not always easy. So just before we go to the matter of fact, we'll go here and then I'll ask. So WWID, which is what would I do in this situation? So what would you suggest to anybody who may have gone through a traumatic experience, losing a parent, anything? What would you suggest that they do in order to like help cope with it? Like what worked for you?
Well, my first thing is remember that it's a part of life. Reflect in the moment. Don't just sit there and say, "Oh, why is me?" You know, cool. You can do that. You can feel and take in whatever is happening in that traumatic moment. The biggest thing is reflect, and then see how you want to move on it at however pace you want. It's not a fast pace. It's not a slow pace. It's a lifetime thing, and it's gonna make you. It's a big change in your life, no matter what it is. So definitely, I think that the biggest thing is reflect. Sit back and take some time for yourself. You know, definitely.
Okay. And it sounds like with him, that's what he did. He
Mhm.
was able to kind of sit back and reflect, and he made the comment, which we're gonna get into in a minute, but it was good that he was able to just look at all the beautiful things that's still going on. Like he said, he had his wife, you know, he was basically saying, like, I know I've got on your nerves during this time, or, you know, you got your kids that's alive, you know what I mean? She could have left them high and dry. She didn't. She was there with him through the whole time. So it's good that he's starting to get the momentum back, because even as the funniest people have the darkest times. So I'm sure he was probably sometimes he wasn't really talking or not doing much, but to see him in good spirits and, you know, now is good, because it's just it's just needed, and it's a kind of in the world we are now, not the economy, but in the world we are in now, because it's just like it's a lot,
It's a lot.
this is only
It's a lot of bad.
this only the beginning of what we got to talk about. So let's go to the next section, which is WWJD, which is what would Jesus do? So I like how he stated, y'all playing certain. Everybody laughed, but he was dead serious. I took it as like in the Bible when they be giving them warnings, the prophets will give them warnings. That's how I took it. Like he was just like, y'all need to watch what y'all be saying, because I had a joke about this, and look at this now, which is good. And we're gonna make this a clip for sure. I used to always say when I was laughing, I used to always be like, I'm dead. I stopped saying that a long time ago, because it's like words do have power.
They do.
And you jokingly, because and I saw Tiffany Montgomery said, she said your words did not have a sense of humor. So when you're over here saying stuff like I'm dead, I even recently I got chastised for saying I'm weak. They said stop saying you weak, you're strong. So I have to stop. And I just say I always back and forth between I'm weak and I'm screaming. Now I just say I'm screaming because I am screaming. What's wrong with that? Right. I am. But I think in the case of what would Jesus do, but also the morally, we just should watch what we say in general, and not just to other people, but to ourselves as well. Sometimes people make jokes like, oh, I'm just so fat, or oh, I'm just so ugly. I saw that Justin LeBoy post, and it was just like, what did it say? It said, I hate when people fish for compliments. When it's like, yeah, I'm so fat. It's like, yeah, you getting up there. So it's just like, we just got to be a little more aware.
Right.
Before I go to my next point, what's your take on that?
We do have to be aware. I learned that in my 20s, man, early 20s, that like certain things I would say about myself are like, oh, I'm not this or this and so. You have to do positive self-talk to yourself. It starts with you. If you want to change something, like you said, it's cool to notice that you're doing things to other people, but we soon don't notice about ourselves. We sit there and we'll say things like, I remember saying things like, oh yeah, man, I never lose a job. I never do this and so. And then when it happened, it's like, oh, wait a minute. You have to sit back and say, hey, you're not better than anyone, and you got to be your best self for yourself. So
yeah, for sure. For sure. So I think just end off that point, I think it's just being aware, but also if you catch it, you need to do like Lord forgive me, I rebuke that. I come out of agreement with that. Something to where it's like you don't let that linger, because it's just not good. So WSMD, what should men do in this situation? It's just short. Watch what you say. You've said it already this long. It's like, okay, you can't change what you did in the past, but you can change what you're doing now and for the future. So if you used to say, you don't make jokes about death. People like, what if I get in this car and I just, like, I used to say crazy stuff too. Like, it was funny, but like, if say we was in a car, somebody was saying something that made me laugh. I'm like, I'm about to crash this car right now. And it's like,
don't do that.
Don't say that. don't do that. So I don't do that. I don't say that no more. And what's the other one I was saying? I'm like, I'm about to pass out. Like, let's not do that, because
we all have been victims of saying things like that.
Yeah.
You catch it, and sometimes people around you will catch it. Like, hey, man, you serious about that?
Yeah.
You're right. So.
Or the other ones, the simple ones we overlook, like the "you're killing me" or "you getting on my nerves." Your nerves system shut down. Now what?
Right. Now what you gonna do?
Exactly. So it's just the little stuff. And it was another point I was gonna have, but I forgot it that fast. So oh well, it'll come back when it's supposed to. But all right, let's get into the next segment, which do I want to say for last, or do I want to go second? I think we're going to save this one for now, and then we'll save the other one for last. So let's talk about everybody's favorite person, Diddy. Now, we've talked about him a few times on these Mental Men Mondays, and I try to stay away because it seems like a lot of these episodes, in some way, shape, or form, talk about the big three and Diddy. And I'm trying to stay away from them, but we're going to talk about Diddy today just because of the video he released. And I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to say about that. So let's go ahead and get it going. And let me know what y'all think in the comments as well.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. And I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
All right, so let's go into the first segment again. What does this have to do with mental health? So I feel like Diddy is unraveling. I saw an interview. His old bodyguard made the claim, or allegedly, that he says he feels like he might end his life just because of everything that's going on, because he's going through
a lot.
Yeah. And although everything he did is inexcusable, and although everything he did is dark, inhumane, the list goes on. We ain't got to run that through. I think that, do I believe that his apology was sincere? I don't know. I'm glad he's saying something, but it's still kind of like, you just doing it just for damage control. I mean, there's nothing really else can be done.
Right.
What's your take on his apology?
That was my first time watching it, man, because I don't really condone, hitting women and things of that nature, bro. Having my wife, having my mom, my sister grew up with them, family members, just women. At the end of the day, he made the apology. The world gonna have his take. Social media is gonna have his take. But the biggest thing is, people are people. They make mistakes. Things happen. But what he did was totally wrong. Everything. Cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not the person to judge you, man. I'm not
Yeah.
God. You're gonna have to sit with God, man. But like my brother said, man, you wrong for what you did, though, man. You don't do that to women, dog. And everything is just a lot more. But the biggest thing, mentally, you got to find help for yourself. Like we spoke about it first, man. You got to find help for yourself, man. And if the apology was sincere or not, they ain't got nothing to do with us. It's you at the end of the day, for the world to see it and for us to live in this social media world. I think that a lot of people see those things, and it's good. It's fast to condemn people. But the biggest thing is you got to realize, like, what if you was in that situation? Not what would you want for people, but like, what if you was in that situation? Those things happened to you, or you did it, and the biggest thing is, would you want to be judged like that?
Great segue into the next segment again. WWID. What would I do in this situation? So first and foremost, it can be them today and you tomorrow. People fail to realize that. Last week we talked about Jack Lee and that situation, and just how, like I said, you can be the trending topic tomorrow. Now, the beauty of that is a double-edged sword, because people could be dragging you, but eventually they're gonna find a new target. So that's the beauty of going viral and having those kind of situations.
Right.
And while a lot of people are fearful of getting that spotlight, because what will happen if something happens to them, and dealing with trolls and all that thing and all of that. I'll say he did the right thing apologizing. Is it too late? Maybe, probably.
Yeah.
Especially if, I don't know if you have kept up with it, but he did originally say that she was just wanting some money when at first she tried to sue him.
I seen that.
So now it's like, now you saying, oh, she wanted some money, but you know what you did because the video's from 2016. Right. So it's like, when that happened, honestly, he should have just apologized then. Because my thing is, we live in a world where, I remember my auntie made a joke about a show, baby, it was probably in 2007. And they talk about they can find a killer off a piece of dog hair from 20 years ago. So you being an intelligent man, because we all know he's smart, you should have known something was brewing then.
Yeah, he should have been new.
Maybe he just got too cocky and was like, I'm going to just play her off. She going to be quiet.
I can't be touched,
Yeah. And that's the importance of knowing that it can always be you. And I think some people just don't think it's like, oh, it'll never happen to me. It'll never happen to me, but it could. And these people going down this year, Cat Williams called it on Club Shay Shay, and we've been seeing it. I think that video, if that video would have dropped when Cassie first filed this lawsuit, and then that video came out, it would have definitely lessened the blow. Because then he could have easily said like, "Oh, that was from 2016. It's 2024," but now it's like you doing things out of order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah, man.
WWJD, what would Jesus do? So, as we know, Jesus was betrayed by people close to him, and even though Cassie was somebody he was dating, I mean, they were close, and there's a lot of people let's call it what it is, betrayed when they was close. I do know. I remember I was reading the other day and it was talking about in Luke and how like right before Jesus got betrayed, it says the spirit of Satan entered into Judas, and so we all know everything is spiritual before it's physical. And I think that that's interesting to see. Like sometimes even us, we do stuff and we don't realize we being. Now I'm not gonna say like it's a great this setup for the next topic, but sometimes we don't even realize what's in us.
Yes, there you
um we don't even realize what was within us. We thinking, sometimes we think we might have forgiven those people, their name come up, we instantly and even though the outward person can't see it, you feel it.
Yeah, man.
And sometimes we don't know what we still struggling with or battling with until we test it with it. Or sometimes we just blinded by what we do. Have you ever been in a position where you've been blinded by something you did where you look back and like that was so wrong, but in the moment you didn't think none of it? And or you just didn't care. Sometimes you know it's wrong, just don't care.
Yeah, man. I have done that. I'll be wrong to say I'm not perfect. A lot of things have happened, but I sit back and reflect. I'm one of them people that once it did happen, I ain't gonna say a day later, but I am gonna sit back at a moment and say, wait a minute, that was wrong. I think that I have learned to extend the same grace to other people, man, that I extend to myself. And we go through a lot of things. We young adults. It's a lot of things you're trying to learn, but not nothing to the severity of that. But it has been some bad things that you got to sit back and be like, I really did that. God, please forgive me. Like you got to forgive me for this one. So definitely.
Well, I think I have the book right here. Do I have it? I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this book that I'm reading right now, and it's actually an older book, and it's by Charles Stanley. He died. But it's called The Gift of Forgiveness. And sometimes we haven't even, it's talking about, I'm actually during the process of the book now, we're talking about we haven't even forgiven ourselves for certain things. And that's one thing I never thought I struggled with was forgiving myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes I'll think about something and I'll instantly like cringe up, like, did I do that? And then it's like, you ain't let yourself off the hook, or we'll think like, dang, we can't be forgiven of this or that, but you can be forgiven of anything. It's just that a lot of times we have forgiven ourselves, or we think like, oh, we're just such terrible people for this, that, and the third. And that's one thing about this podcast. I'm all about is accountability. Like I said, I would respect if you was like, I did it, so what?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we did it kind of like, because you are acknowledging it after you getting dragged. But even when you was getting dragged, you was still like, she crazy until the footage got leaked. And it's just like, you should have just then saw something brewing in and said, you know what, let me just apologize now because I know I did it.
You gonna say what's up.
Then it just could have been like, I already owned it. And even though people still would thought you was lying, then it still could have been then somebody still would have did a case study saying he knew the video was going to come out. So that's why he did that. But then you couldn't prove that. So it's just the demise of Diddy. I don't know what he did or what he didn't do. But this just be the record for anybody. Atone for your sins before you're forced to.
Right.
WSMD, what should men do in this situation? What I just said, and also just own everything you do and get ahead of it before anybody even gets ahead of it for you. Tell your own story first. It's just too many times I've watched people let somebody tell their story. Tell your story first. That way, if they take on it, it's but just get ahead of it before anybody else. And if you did something that you're not proud of,
right. Go ahead, get ahead. I say the same thing. Get ahead of it, but also, man, don't even be in that situation. Don't even let yourself get into none of these situations.
Yeah.
If I'm 29 years old, it would never happen. You know why? Because at the end of the day, I don't condone myself like that. But outside of that, man, get like before any of these things happen, not something as severe as that. But as a man, just move in a different light. And if you feel some type of way about stuff, man, think about it first. Don't think about the consequences. Just think about what you're about to do. Like, just think about it.
Yeah, and sometimes we're blinded by our own like flesh in certain areas, so we just kind of get, and then just go on and on. All right. So now, final topic for the day, this was a great setup for that, not even on purpose. So now we know Kel Mitchell was on Club Shay Shay. Talked about a lot of different things, but one thing he talked about was his self-proclaimed exorcism. Now we're gonna watch the clip where he talked about that, and then I'm gonna give my take on that. So let's just go ahead and set it up.
She said, you need to forgive some people. And you need to say that person's name out loud. And I know what you're going through within court and all the things you're going through. You need to forgive that person. And you need to say her name out loud. So I said, I'll say my ex's name out loud and forgave her. She said also, too, she has done some things as far as like putting a hex on you. These different things she has done, spiritual-wise. And I'm like, what? I'm like, yo.
Like, you put the root on you?
I'm like, yo, what you talking about? Like, word, like, what? And she's like, yeah. I understood it, within what was going on. And she told me that. Now this is me being introduced to the spiritual realm, because we're spirits.
Right.
And we're in the spiritual realm. And so when that happened, she said, I want you to say blood of Jesus. I want you to start saying blood of Jesus, and I'm going to pray over you. And she started to do that. Now I'm spitting up. And within that process, getting reconnected to the Lord in a very spiritual way in this moment. Now all my friends are here. Some of my homies are here. And they're seeing me. And what is happening within this process, demons started like literally speaking out their name. I'm saying their names out loud. They're coming out of my body. So each one is saying who they are. So imagine I'm watching this as this is happening to me. And they're literally going, I'm such and such, and my body would contort and be something totally different. As this is talking and I'm spitting out. And as this is going on and I'm saying all this, I'm like, yo. And they all come out. Finally, I'm tired after like an hour of warring within the spirit. And at that moment, no one could tell me that there's not a God. Because I understood that this is spiritual warfare that we're dealing with. Then I also understood that throughout every process between work and also with relationships and toxic relationships and everything, that there's a real enemy that is warring for us.
About to welcome us to the prayer night. All right. Let's get to the first part, which is what does this have to do with mental health? So I'm gonna let you start off. What do you think this has to do with his mental health after watching that? Have you seen that clip?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, man.
Yeah. So after seeing that clip again and seeing I like the AI graphics that they use at the bottom to really give the visual for those who don't understand. Right. What's your take on his mental health? What do you think after or anybody's after dealing with something like that?
I feel like after dealing with that, like he said, I think you can't say nothing but, hey, that's God, because showing you, dang, all these things been happening to me. And he was saying before he led up to that, how much stuff was happening to him and how it was just bad stuff happening back and back and back. And to see all those things, and we could all say, oh, it's not this way or this, but we are in the world of spiritual warfare. We are back and forth. I don't care how good you think we fight against the flesh every day, and I think that the biggest thing is a lot of people should, whatever you believe in, I believe in God. But since being a little boy, my mom has always told me that, like, my mom family members have talked about different things that can happen to you and how you should approach them, especially like roots, different things. And I said, the biggest thing is you have to always stay prayed up, always stay in the word. But outside of that, you have to know when something ain't right, man, and somebody come to you and you speak on you and they help you, it's God, man. Telling you so many things that have happened in my life where I be like, dang, I watched that really happened. No, yeah. I have been like, that was God. It ain't nothing else but God. So definitely, I agree with him.
The thing with this Kel Mitchell story is it's interesting because his mental health, what's to say, I would say, well, how do you think he feel his mental health is after saying this story, knowing that we live in a judgmental world? So, first of all, he's been in a spotlight forever, so he probably numb to a lot of stuff anyway. But speaking on like certain things, because some people might even be embarrassed to speak on stuff like that because they know they speak on it, they're instantly going to get, it's the church word, but I say it's persecuted, but I like to use the phrase witch hunts, where they got to put you on a witch hunt, probably put you on trial and try to do this and probably. And I'm sure plenty of people are like, oh, that's fake, or oh, that was an illusion, or whatever that happened. And it's just like, I know the way he told the story, I know it wasn't. No, he didn't make that up because
he didn't make that one up. No.
Deliverance services are very real.
Yes.
And so, I've heard stories from personal experience with people telling me like what happened, and then of course some people running them. So everything he said was very much so. And it's kind of like the whole Diddy thing. Like So, and I hate, and like I say, you hate to like put people on stuff, but you know, a lot of people, unfortunately, not even just say Diddy, just in general, are infested with demons and don't even know it.
Don't even.
And it's just interesting to see how, like, he highlighted, like, you know, we don't wrestle with the person. And that also, I think, when he help anybody who may be struggling with the forgiveness process to realize, like, yes, that person, but it's something behind that person that you're not seeing. And I think that would help with a lot of stuff. So WWID, what would I do in this situation? So in his situation, it shows the importance. Once again, didn't even plan on this being a forgiveness episode, but you know, forgiving people and understanding that there are people who are going to do things to you that are evil, that are, you know, heinous, that are, you know, we'll even say unnecessary. Like, you was that mad to do that, but you have to understand what's at work behind the scenes. So I have, but have you ever been in a situation where someone done some stuff to you? You was like, you really did all that?
Yep, definitely, man. And I'm like, really? Or you see people, man, certain things happen. You know, you be like, what? It's really happened. I think the biggest thing is forgive people. Turn the other cheek. Keep going, man. Don't let them block your peace. Don't let them block you from moving forward. Because at the end of the day, I think that, like you said, it ain't always the person, man. Some people working out to get you, man. And you have to really have to look at it in the situation that you're in and say, you know what? Let me choose to move on. You know, so definitely.
So then my question to you will be, what will be your advice to someone who says they want to, but they just feel like they can't?
Well, I would say, first off, seek what you believe, seek Jesus, man. And outside of that, find your peace, man. Don't let nobody, like I said, don't let nobody stop you from getting peace, man, just because you don't want to forgive them. Like, I know me growing up, single parent home, I grew up down the street from my dad, man, at one point in my life. And I think for a long time, I watched my brother battle with forgiving him, different things like that, with different things happen. And for a long time, I'm like, I don't know, I don't feel like that. I don't never feel like it. I remember becoming a teenager, then becoming like young male, and I was like, dang, I needed my dad for certain things. And I was never mad. I remember going to God and saying, you know, whatever I feel, some ill will or different things I feel like I missed out on, just know that I forgive you. Like, I forgive my dad, man, you know, and I have told him too. And I think that the biggest thing is it has opened me up to be able to forgive people and know that it's nothing you don't need to be holding on to them, man. Or the different things that you think that you let go. Like he said, I thought it was gone. I ain't thinking nothing about it, but you got to let it go because like I said, it's going to stop you from moving forward.
Yeah. WWJD, what would Jesus do? And this one is all about that. It's this point, but I think that in this point, everyone may not necessarily have a deliverance service, but they do have to act out. I feel like you need to act out your release.
Yes.
And some people may, you know, write it on a piece of paper and throw it away. You know, I remember when I was in my first therapy session, I remember they used to. No, actually, she didn't tell me to do this. I researched it, and then she said that'll be good. Even though she was great with what she did, talking about writing out, to bless you, writing out a letter to the person, obviously never sending it, but just writing out a letter to the person about what they did and why you forgive them, and you know, just being very detailed, and then just, you know, maybe reading it later, throw it away, do whatever you think is best. But like I said, now his is one extreme. And that's needed for some people, I believe. But and not saying they need it for everybody, because everybody probably needs it in some way. But in some cases, for your specific situation, you might just need to do that. Or you might need to, like the book was telling me, you might need to like literally pretend that you're and have the conversation with them, which may be scary for some people to do. Or it said fake a therapy session. I think the name, I'm paraphrasing, but like maybe set up some chairs and like sit in one and pretend they're in the other. So just finding some way to get that release, because a lot of times that could be what's holding you back from getting the eyes that you think you deserve or getting that opportunity. Could be you. Could be you. So finally, WSMD, what should men do in this situation? Honestly, men should, what should they do? I could say, we got to forgive, you know that, but you need to really go through the process and figure out, is there anything that you think, ask yourself, how are you holding yourself back, and ask God to show you how that's being done. Because sometimes we be held back and don't realize what it is. You know, do you want to, you know, get that, beach bod the other year, but you always drinking? You know what I mean? Or do you want to, be more productive with your day, but you getting up late and you need to set your time. You need to get up at 7 o'clock every morning. You know what I mean? Or you seeing the most results in your businesses or your brand, but you're not, dedicating a specific amount of time to it, or you keep being like, oh, I'm gonna get to it. You keep procrastinating. You need to figure out that. I always see God on it, but see with yourself and figure that out. Get to the root of that. Anything else you want to add on that?
Yeah, I would say, like you said, get to the root of it, seek God, and also, man, make sure that what you're going after, or the things that you want done, or you want to see change, that you're really putting action behind it. I see so many people, and I have been victim of it too. Like, oh, like you said, I want to do this, or I don't want to work. And if I just do it, just Nike, just go do it, and you're gonna feel so much at peace when you do it, man. Definitely, that's my biggest thing.
All right, good stuff. So this week's episode is going to center around he laughing because of what I told him, but I'm going to tell y'all. So long story short, I still have a good 4 or 5 episodes on file that I can just upload and go about my business. But this episode is a topic I want to talk about, and I'm going to do a solo episode, and I'll be introducing I said I wasn't adding no new segments this season. I lied, because I've actually obliterated 2 that are in my solo episodes and replace them with 1, and you'll find out about that this week. But long story short, this episode is going to be me doing like a case study over the soft guy era, and how it pertains to mental health, how it pertains to young men, how it pertains to just the world we live in, and how a lot of that whole drizzle thing, I don't know if you saw it, where men are basically making fun of women. It's satire, but the women didn't catch it. Some did, but some didn't. And they're basically, it's like how they'll be like, the dude act like the girl and be like, oh, you want to go on a date with me? Oh no, I need you to pay my light bill first. So like, like stuff like that. And it'll be funny. Like I said, it'll be a solo episode, and that'll drop this week, and that'll be my first solo episode of the season. So y'all tune into that. Anything else you want to pub or say before you go today?
My biggest thing that's on my heart, man, is to, from out this whole show, man, thank you so much for having me on here, first off. Yeah. But people, find a thing that you love to do and do it. I do it in my podcast, and I do it in engineering. It allows me and help me to be a better friend, better family man, and overall better person for Jeremy. I think that find the thing that you like. And we live in a world where so many people are doing so many things, man. And I always get the question, how you author? How you got this person on? How you do this? And it's because I put the work in, man. And I believe in it first. I don't need nobody else to believe in it. I believe in it first. I feel like anything you put your mind to, you can't always achieve everything. Like, I can't go play football in the NFL. I wanted to do that as a little, but I can be a great podcaster and interview NFL and NBA players, man. So those are things you have to look at and scale it to your life of how you want it to be done. So just go do it.
All right, good stuff. Absolutely. So y'all make sure y'all tune into his podcast, to his content, his books, and everything he got going. And as always, y'all tune into me this Thursday. And we're gonna get another episode dropping. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And remember, I love us for real.